good. What are you doing? You're just talking a little bit?
We're just going to have a little chit chat.
And what part of Virginia do you live in?
So we live in, so are we just going to be,
Like how transparent do you want to be?
That's another thing I kind of want to let go of. I don't think I can. I'm not good at having two identities, so I kind of just feel like I need to let it all hang out. And if I get accused of being a witch by my neighbors, I just have to, who cares?
Own it.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time to be untamed. And this show as well, being untamed, it's like, especially visiting England, and I feel like historically, I swear to God, my ancestors have been burned alive at the stake. I've always been really interested in the history of witchcraft and persecution and religious persecution. And I'm having to reflect on myself, I feel like I'm maybe dealing with that now. And it's interesting. So how am I going to respond to that? Because is that historic trauma? And also, if in terms of being untamed, especially being an untamed and wild woman, it's maybe just own it. So
right, is that some sort of programming genetically
exactly
that you're sort of still acting out?
Yes. So I feel again, I've just got to be more bold, and you're really helping me to be bold. And anyway, and a show like this, the theme of it, and meeting your friends and the other artists at the show, it's just I just have to basically leave behind those parts of myself that are still a scared little girl, because I'm nearly 40. So it's let's go. It's time.
Well, you are still young. So remember, there's all sorts of initiations and new awakenings and new reinventions.
Yes, and that's what this work is about, the transmutation.
So let's talk about this work. So you're an oil painter.
Yes.
You're from New Zealand. You found yourself in Virginia, in the Virginia countryside, not just Virginia, but a pretty rural, remote, wild location, would you say?
Absolutely. And immediately upon moving to Virginia, I found my inner life and my spiritual life changing. I'd always been so disconnected from the deeper parts of myself, the more sensitive parts of myself. I feel like New Zealand culture is very much, we've got that hangover from the British heritage of stiff upper lip, don't be sensitive.
And I'm wondering, this is very, there's something magical about your work. This is called transmutation. And to me, this feels like the same individual in different variations. But that's my take. Do you want to?
So this is my beautiful friend Candace, who I met in art school actually, and she's always been very special to me. I love painting people that I know because I feel that my work is so personal and the themes I'm exploring are so personal. It's always best for me if I know the model that I'm working with. This particular piece, Transmutation, it's one that I created this piece many, many years ago when I was working in a different style. So I'm revisiting this motif with my new style that I'm working in. Originally, the original was monochromatic. At the time I painted it, I wasn't allowing myself any color in my work. I'd gone monochromatic, and that was to help evoke the themes of despair and loss, and that feeling of when all of the color drains from your life. So at the time, I was living in New York City, which again felt very gray. The sky felt gray. I was surrounded by gray concrete, and I didn't have much of a connection to nature. That feeling of not having a connection with nature felt all of a sudden very stark, and reflexively I started painting a lot of the natural world in my work. Since moving to Virginia and then West Virginia and really reclaiming my personal relationship with the natural world, now I feel so grounded in the natural world that I'm wanting to move beyond representing that and perhaps have work that doesn't feel necessarily tethered to this time, space, reality, this planet.
We are here speaking with Vivian Adder. She is an oil painter originally from New Zealand. She currently resides in West Virginia. And her work is, to me, kind of has a mystical quality. Is that at all related to your cultural heritage in any way?
I feel if you go back far enough, because my heritage is British, that, and we just got back from an incredible family trip to Britain and got to meet an ancient yew tree. And
I love that, I met a tree.
Yes, well, honestly, so yeah, when I met this tree, I felt like I was, because it's between 900 and 2,000 years old. I was so overwhelmed. I felt like I was meeting a great-great-grandmother and ancestor, and I just started weeping, but good tears. The natural world and
there's also
She's asking about the mystical components.
yeah, there's a mystical component. There's also a very feminine point of view. Like, you tend to focus on the female form and the feminine experience.
100%, and that's always been something I've been drawn to. Since I was a small child, drawing and painting women has been an obsession of mine. I have tried at different points in my career to paint men, but there's truly nothing, it's just not for me. There's something about the feminine, the sacred feminine, and the depths of the female psyche and the feminine archetype and the creatrix archetype. Goddesses, Mother Nature. My work, it's inherently feminine, and it's something that I can't escape. So I just keep coming back to it again and again.
Well, why not? I mean, origin of the world, right?
Correct. And so in this tree, you'll notice my slightly suspicious looking tree. I have a little yoni tree. And again, I'm moving away from wanting to represent the natural world as it appears to us in this realm, and I'm looking to slightly beyond. And I do feel that trees, and especially when we're alone in nature with a tree, it absolutely is a connection and a conduit to the beyond. So is the ocean, so is gazing at the stars by yourself, feeling the wind on your skin. And my work also, especially with this piece being called Transmutation, I'm constantly looking at cycles of death, birth, decay, and transformation. And this particular piece, you'll see it's the same female figure represented again and again, and then eventually dissolving in the moonlight. And I wanted to talk about all of the different selves that we have potential to reach in our life, but some of us don't let ourselves reach that potential. So it's about the incredibly painful process of allowing certain parts of yourself or versions of yourself to die, grieving them, and then becoming something else. And that's a messy process, and it's not something enjoyable, but
Necessary.
it's necessary. And we're here like the trees, like the natural world. We are here to grow, and not just physically, but I think emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. That idea of growth and fecundity, that we're now surrounded with the natural world, and now I have a garden of my own. The idea of the constant growth, and then death and decay and renewal, and the amount of labor and effort it is. I love seeing and making connections with the natural world, with ourselves, and then with the beyond.
So, did I hear that you might be getting married?
We are getting married, which is another beautiful it's the birth of a new union. And of course, once you become a wife, you're a new self again.
A new role.
A new role.
An additional sort of title.
And marrying an artist and someone who nurtures, not only sees your creative soul, but nurtures it like you would a plant. I mean, Philippe truly to me is he's like sunshine in my creative garden. And we help fertilize each other. I'm going too far. This is for the public. But yeah, so again, that idea of what you nurture will grow, and what you allow to grow. And I think the people that we choose to spend our lives with and the people we surround ourselves with and the people that we work with is very important to that growth. Whether those people are going to encourage us or maybe hold us back in some way.
Look who's here.
And look, we've got a little dog right here. And this is amazing having this piece here, because part of our connection with the natural world is eating.
Is she,
Maybe I'm just tired of someone.
can I say hello to her, or she's...
Sure.
Hi, sweetheart.
Just
You
don't
are
want to
just,
jump on the tables.
wow, on fire. Like,
Oh,
just...
yeah.
Hi, baby.
She's gonna try to jump in. We're not doing
Oh, you are a little seal.
Isn't she? I call her my seal
You're
pup.
like a little seal.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is this?
that. A mountain feist. It's a squirrel in the yard.
Wow.
Come on, can I just go back there and tie her something?
Yeah, I mean, is that...
Melissa, you seem more stressed than Melissa, babe. Melissa seems
why don't
fine
you
with
tie
this
her up
puppy.
to the post up there? I mean, will she settle down or is she gonna...
Yeah, she'll totally settle down. She's just excited to be somewhere new. This dog just behind us, really, in this image.
I know. There's a lot of dogs in this show.
Hey.
Is she gonna be all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe to the banister?
Oh, baby.
Do you see yourself having children?
So that's the big thing. I don't know. I really don't know. Did you always see yourself having kids?
It
Because
was
we
a
are
big-
back and forth all the time.
It was a big decision, and
It's a
you're
huge
never going to
decision.
know if it's the right decision, but it's always the right decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I
We're
hate to
back
say
and
that,
forth
but
constantly.
My sister had her baby. We just saw it, and it's obviously like an incredible thing for the universe.
I mean, you don't want to miss that experience. You know, you're with somebody you love, you are in a beautiful relationship, you've
And
got...
holding a miniature Philippe. I would love to see the kind of person we would create
Well,
together.
not only that, but it's the ultimate creative act, right?
Right.
And it's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to know 100%, just like anything, like a move or taking on, you know, a marriage or... But I would say you're in the perfect situation to welcome that kind of...
Just need to be a little bit more successful on my end.
How so successful?
Well, just to make more money to pay for a kid.
Yeah, well, it'll happen.
I feel like children are the great motivator, right? I know of so many artists of so many different art forms, like comedians, that once a baby is on the way, they like switch into business mode. So.
Not just that, but the nature of your work will be transformed.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
once I had my son, like my whole body of work, because it's, to me, artwork is like a journal. It's like, you
Yes.
can't, at least for me, I can't separate the work from my life or from what I'm thinking about or experiencing or, you know what I mean. But anyway, I think you'd make a great mother. No pressure.
Thank you, Melissa. That's really sweet. Because both of our families are basically like, please don't breathe.
What?
No,
I know.
He's making that up. They've never said that. They said if you're going to keep being an artist not making any money, then you need to think about it.
What was that?
Quit it. This isn't going to work with her like squealing.
Oh.
I can put her in the back or something.
Yeah, maybe put her in the back. Maybe it's seeing us that's making her whine.
It's okay. It's all good. And she can't sit with us. No, she would want to be.
She could sit on my lap, babe.
Would she?
She would. She just wants to be included.
You're in the art gallery. Hey,
Why don't you let her sit on my lap? That'll help me be calm as well. She's my emotional support animal.
Okay, Betty.
she's going to try to get on this.
Up.
Sit.
Are you
Sit.
Are you sure you want to take that off?
Yeah, come on. She's gonna
Hey,
be my bitty.
here. Up.
Here, come up here.
Stay.
Settle.
Stay. Settle.
Settle.
All right, okay, any attention.
Settle.
Settle. Settle.
Settle.
Good girl. Settle. Let's try it.
Get your heartbeats in sync.
You look just like this little dog behind us.
Are you an early riser?
I am not naturally. Naturally, I'm a night owl, and I just have an affinity with the night. I feel like being an introvert, there's something so beautiful about being the only one awake. However, now that we live in West Virginia and we're living a life that's much more connected to the natural world, I'm getting up kind of slightly more with the sun, you know? Whereas living in the city, it's a lot easier to kind of really make your own hours. And it feels like my apartment in New York City was so dark you couldn't tell if it was night or day anyway. So, you know,
yeah.
whereas
Which is kind of interesting, like sort of this limbo, like
that's right,
liminal
Betty.
space.
Well, exactly, and liminal spaces are absolutely something, as well as the things of transformation and death and decay. Liminal spaces are something that I love working with.
You look like a bat.
This is Hell Bat Betty.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
I'll get the dog hair off me. Hold on. It's magic. It's dog glitter.
All right, so in a perfect world, what would your day look like?
I would wake up. I would have a tremendous amount of coffee and slowly, I like to start every day with writing. Have you heard of the Artist's Way?
Oh yeah,
And
Julia
keeping morning
Cameron.
pages? Yes. Okay, so I love to start my day very slowly and quietly. I absolutely used to be in the horrible habit of checking my phone immediately, and there will always be disasters and grief and horrible things that are going to deeply affect you waiting just there on your phone to scream in your face and affect you physiologically. I think for at least the first hour of waking, you don't want to take anything else in. You just want to let yourself go through the rhythms of waking up. Again, that does mean that now I'm getting up a lot earlier than I used to allow myself that extra time to have a slow morning, because I know it's so important for me to have the right kind of day. Mm-hmm. So I get up, have a very quiet hour, and I start writing and sipping coffee, and I'll write about the dreams that I had the night before. Sometimes they're just wonderful. Many times they're absolutely messages. And Philippe is very into Jungian psychology and dream analysis, so I always make a point of writing down any dreams or nightmares that I found a bit prophetic, any symbolism in them that I might slip into my artwork. I often find the themes in my dreams and nightmares are running parallel to the type of work I'm currently producing. Perhaps it's ancestors getting in touch through dreams or other. But so yeah, I'll take a moment to think about my dreams and also start to write about anything and everything.
Just stream of consciousness, kind of.
Stream of consciousness, and then also things in the wider world that are perhaps bothering me, and thinking about how I might be able to digest them and think about them in a different way so that they don't overwhelm me and shut me down, so that I'm still inspired. Because it can be if you're a person that is deeply affected by the horror of life and the trauma of other people, and if you feel very deeply, it can be life. You can either respond to that by like shutting yourself down and numbing yourself, which I think a lot of people do, or constantly needing to distract yourself so that you don't feel those feelings. Whereas for me, writing is a way to kind of try and process and be okay with and make peace with the chaos in the world that I can't change, and then also the positive changes that I can make.
If you weren't an artist, what do you think you would do? Like what kind of profession or vocation?
Teaching is one of my favorite things in the world. And so I know, when it came to study at university, I think this is telling, I really wanted to do a conjoint degree. I wanted to do a Bachelor of Arts, and I wanted to do Egyptology, mythology. I wanted to study world religion. I was very obsessed with art history. I wanted to study English literature. So I wanted to study all of those things, but I knew that my calling was to be a visual artist, and I knew that that was like a child that was going to take all of me. And so that's the route that I took. But throughout my career as a visual artist, I've worked in art museums and at non-profits where I'm teaching either theory-based visual arts or practical workshops for the visual arts, and helping other people, whether they are toddlers, elementary school age children, high schoolers, adults, helping people connect with the visual arts, regardless of if it's a one-off experience, if they're a professional artist. Being that connective tissue that helps make art accessible to other people is something that gives me such a sense of fulfillment and joy, and it feels very profound to me.
How do you feel that young people now are doing? You know, just in terms of their creative life.
I worry about them so much. I worry about them so much. I feel like, well, one, I think in the United States, not having as part of our national curriculum, not having the arts in all of our public schools is, for decades, I think it was in the 1970s that some legislation was changed, and so then not every student received dance, as they do in New Zealand, dance, music, the visual arts. Not having the arts be part of a standard curriculum for decades now is something that we can absolutely see the cultural ramifications of. Some of it's small, some of it's very profound, some of it's subtle, some of it's violent. And not being in a culture that doesn't necessarily value the arts, especially the visual arts, being in a culture that values appearance and the surface rather than depth and what's on the inside, a culture that doesn't value empathy and deep thinking and developing things like critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills. I think that we have left our young people a culture that's quite devoid of meaning, and they can look around at all of the adults in our society and see that we're not doing well. I don't think most people are doing well. Psychologically, spiritually, if you want to go to that kind of aspect of ourselves, and there's a deep sense of longing and in our culture and despair. And when even the government, when the United States, well, let's not even go there. Well, I was going to say, when the United States government is legalizing pot in a bunch of places, they're not doing it for altruistic reasons. They're doing it so you can numb yourself. And I would say to young people, it's very difficult to avoid the pitfalls of being addicted to your phone, being addicted to substances, being addicted to the fast, even our television, like reality television is, the art of television has gone away. We used to have artists writing and really thinking about what was going to be put on television. If you have reality television, you don't have to hire artists, you don't have to hire writers, you don't have to hire actors. Yes. We can just produce it fast,
sure,
cheap, cheerful, fake. And again, if you have a culture that's balanced, those things are fun. But if you have a culture where that's what's the pinnacle and it's all about wealth and appearances and maybe being an influencer, and what does that mean? How many people follow you? When that's what we're focusing on, I think our young people are starving in many ways.
And the thing is there's no point of reference. Like, young people don't know what it's like to not be distracted. So there's probably this distinguishable like longing for something, but they don't realize it's probably for just silence or quiet.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think, you know, at the end of the day, there's like light pollution, there's sound pollution, there's just everything all at once, and we're just getting hijacked. But, you know, it's up to each one of us individually to take it back, to take our agency back and decide how we want to guard the gates of our minds. And your role in this is important. Philippe's role, my role, all the artists here in this exhibition, to remind everyone that there is another dimension.
And that's how I feel that, especially in this age of AI, where we're already seeing a proliferation of AI automated images on the internet, I feel like our children more than ever are growing up in a world of simulacrum, which is or simulacrum is it's an unsatisfactory facsimile of something. So it's a copy of a copy of a copy, and like you just said about there's no original reference anymore. I lost where I was going with that, Melissa.
No, it's true. It's true. You know, my son doesn't know what it's like to need a quarter to make a phone call, or to travel, backpack through Europe and not make contact with your parents for 3 weeks. And
we used to have to be more connected to one another.
And to use a map, you know, or
yes.
to be conscientious of like, okay, left turn, right turn, landmark. You know what I mean? Like, we are just not operating on all cylinders. The most healthy individual was the one that was like in Paleolithic times, when they could, you know, they would notice a rustle of leaves, and notice the ground and have to be agile and
being more connected even to our food. It's so wonderful having this piece right next to mine, because a huge part of my personal and spiritual reconnection with the land, and it profoundly changed my artwork, was beginning to really shifting away from eating fast food and eating factory farmed food to where Philippe now hunts for our food. And hunting is the original locally sourced, free range, organic, and knowing where our food comes from and it being significant every time we eat, acknowledging every time before we eat, we say thank you to the deer or thank you to the rabbit that gave its life to feed us. And it's about processing the animals. It's about slowing down and really thinking about the environment, our impact on it. I feel so lucky that we've been able to move to a place like this and have more of a connection to even what we put in our bodies.
Yes. Well, I'm anxious to see where your next body of work goes. And I know you have some ideas.
It's getting wild.
Well, that's good. Bring it on. I think there is a reawakening of feminine energy. I think it's becoming very obvious that the landscape, politically, socio-cultural, economic, needs a little bit more balance, to say the least.
Absolutely. And again, it's about, you could say, the masculine that we have been striving, that masculine energy that has been dominating our culture is all about profit and progress being the absolute pinnacle, and that's the focus. And I think it's time for us to shift and think more about balance. Not
just uplifting the female, but uplifting the feminine in the masculine.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely okay to nurture.
Absolutely. And progress is important, and so are the trees. So how do we balance, needing all of these new data centers that are popping up all over Virginia, where there used to be fields and trees. Now there are windowless gray factories that are constantly taking water and energy and producing AI and housing our images on the cloud. And it's thinking about, I think we need to have more of that nurturing, slow, why are we doing this? Who are we doing it for? What's important to us?
To what ends?
To what end?
Yeah.
To what end? Where are we going?
Well, stay tuned. We're going to be continued.
I hope I didn't get too political.
No,
Sorry.
no. Thank you, Vivian. This is Vivian Adder, a beautiful artist here in Virginia, here showing in this current exhibition, Untamed, at Melissa Ichiuji Studio Gallery. I'm absolutely thrilled to have her work here, and we look forward to showing more of her work. And with that, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
And we look forward to more, seeing more of your work.
It is always a pleasure. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, babe. This has been so wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I hope I didn't get too political and go off on too many
no.
tangents, but I really, I feel so deeply about all of this that again, and something this is what I'm beginning to go into my work is female rage, because I feel especially in the West, we've had, especially with the dominance of Christianity, there has been such a removal and a fractioning of what the feminine means. And it's all about kind of the nurturing, softer side, or indeed the very profitable hypersexuality of that, that side, and that desire side about. But if you look at all ancient cultures and ancient religions, you will see feminine rage. And I feel so much rage when I look at how we're treating the world and how the planet and how we're treating other people. And my grandfather was held prisoner of war during World War II, and I think if he could see the wars that are still raging now, he'd think, what did I fight for? What did I survive being captured by the Nazis for? So yeah, I hold a lot of feminine rage within me, and at the moment, my new work, I'm dealing with a lot of ancient deities and goddesses that embodied healing aspects, but also people would pray to them for vengeance against their enemies. For that, because there's hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And
woman meaning Mother Nature,
yes.
All of that. Like this big, you know,
That's
sculpture
your-
of Kali, the
Oh.
goddess of creation and destruction, and we all have that in us.
100%. And again, it's that embodying all of it instead of having to fraction or, you know, take off different parts of that. It is all of that.
Yes, yes, yes. Well.
Thank you, Melissa. Oh my God, you're the best. I love you.